What if you could unlock something in your mind that lets you be the highest, best performing achiever that you've ever been? I'm here today with Jessica, and Jessica has this awesome superpower that she teaches people. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself, Jessica, and what you do?
Yes, I would love to. So my name is Jessica Cunningham, and I'm the founder of Belief Coding, which is a science-backed technique which literally rewires your brain in real time. And what that means for entrepreneurs, do you ever go through those times where literally you will set a goal and then the self-doubt will come in, the procrastination will come, you're like, it's all going wrong, and you don't know what to do. You literally feel like your world is crumbling. That is literally because you are so close to reaching your goal. So what absolutely has to happen, your subconscious has to make you procrastinate, has to fill you with self-doubt because it wants you to stay in your current identity and your current comfort zone. So what Belief Coding does, we work with all of that resistance. So the procrastination, the self-doubt, the anxiety, the fears. We go to where they originated, where they started. We reframe them. So then you're able to reach your goals quicker and easier.
Holy smokes.
It's amazing. It literally is amazing.
Well, and you described something that I know I struggled with when I was a new entrepreneur and that I know some of our viewers are struggling with right now. And it's that overwhelm. And then you, like you said, your brain is almost sending you a signal or a message that you need to procrastinate. You need to shut down.
100%. Well, this is the thing, right? So when the overwhelm comes up, the overwhelm is a safety tool to literally keep you performing at the level that you have been performing. So if you can imagine, right, even if you're listening to this, you are at your current identity. But as soon as you make the decision to like up level, to go to the new you, the future version of yourself, your subconscious has to create things to try its best to keep you as you are, because it doesn't know that you can survive being that new version of yourself, being the future self. Even though you may have imagined it time and time again, it doesn't know you can survive that. So the overwhelm comes up to literally shut you down. Or sometimes you might even find yourself like going through severe panic or severe fear, or even like fearing success, fearing failure, because again, your subconscious job is literally to keep you the identity that you're at, because the identity that you're at, it knows you can survive it.
Okay, my brain's going 1,000 miles an hour right now. So I used to feel like, as a person or an entrepreneur, even before I was in entrepreneurship, my background was military. I joined the Army right out of my high school. And you're right, there's this comfort in being at the same level, almost like comfort and complacency type deal. And I realized at a young age that if I stayed that way, my life would never improve, and I was doomed to repeat, maybe the anxieties and the problems of my past. I was a child of poverty. So I almost, and I don't know, maybe this falls in line with belief coding and you can
go on,
fix me.
You don't
I weaponized that.
Yeah, totally.
It was the fear of the past and the fear of the pain and the struggles that I had experienced as a youth that almost made it so I mentally cannot stay at the same place. I feel like I have to be becoming a better version of myself. Almost like the journey of self-actualization is I'm going to get there or I'm going to die trying.
Yeah, totally. So again, with your subconscious, it will always choose the path of least resistance, but it will always move toward pleasure. So if you have a path of least resistance that's associated with pleasure, you're always going to go after that. But in saying that, if you can imagine growing up, if you were from a poverty background, I would imagine that as soon as you started to make money, you'd have a horrendous guilt or shame, or even you probably would have found yourself giving money away or spending money or whatever, because even though you're aspiring to become that next level version of yourself, because you came from poverty, you would have had a lot of negative associations attached to actually having the physical money. However, your past experiences were too painful to stay there, so that push you towards the pleasure. But then when you got the pleasure,
oh my gosh,
it would have felt so uncomfortable having the money, having the success, because you were never around that. So again, and I would imagine as well, and I might be totally off here, like we've only just...
No, I actually think you already know me better than I know myself now.
Yeah. Did you also find yourself, when you actually reached the levels of success, I would imagine as well, there would have been times where you totally self-sabotage, you nearly went back to not having much, that's the wrong word, but you'd have found yourself doing actions to sabotage the success and the money that you had. And again, sometimes that can show up in your relationships, in your marriage, in other areas, because you don't feel worthy of the things that you have because you never had them growing up. So when you have them, you've worked for them, because essentially you're doing the thing to get the thing. There's an element that doesn't feel particularly hard, but it feels easier, which then adds on to the guilt.
I think you're 100% correct. I know that I went through that, especially when I was new to money and success, if that makes sense. it's almost like as, you know, I've been in entrepreneurship for almost a decade now.
Yeah.
And after maybe the first 2 or 3 years, I was able to kind of reframe my mind into
Yeah.
being in the position where this was necessary for
Yeah.
me to make a better impact in my world, my community, my family,
Yeah.
and then continue to contribute at a higher level.
And also, if you think of it this way, right? So when you're in this world for a couple of years that you mentioned, you're also adapting a new identity. So that then becomes the new thermostat for success, the new thermostat for or who you are. Do you get what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm just thinking, you know, we're in Cancun right now at the Mastermind in Paradise.
It's amazing.
Yesterday, we just listened to Dr. Ben Hardy's presentation on the science of scaling. And holy smokes, you have to raise the floor, but you also have to raise the floor on your identity.
100%. Because otherwise, the thing is, right, the reason why we have, so let's take it back, can't bloody speak, let's go back. So essentially, every experience that we have or that we witness growing up and throughout life, that forms our beliefs. Our beliefs form our identity. The reason why our beliefs have to absolutely form our identity is because our identity keeps us in the constraints of comfort and safety. So every time we start to break out of those constraints, it becomes not safe. So that's why we find ourselves doing things to keep us back in that comfort zone. So when we're choosing a goal to go to, naturally things are going to come up, like the hurdles. But the hurdles, when we overcome them or when we work through them, are the thing that elevate our identity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Whereas if we don't work through the things that come up, like the self-sabotage, like the intrusive thoughts, those things come up to keep us where we are. But when we work through them, naturally, as we elevate in our life, our identity starts to elevate because we start to understand, I'm not who I thought I was. I'm not that old identity. And I can become the person I see in my mind because now my beliefs are starting to align with that because I've worked through the beliefs that didn't serve me.
So this is a real journey of self-transformation.
Oh my God, it's a total journey. Yeah, it's like, the thing is as well, what most people don't understand, we know that the subconscious is the driver of our life, right? But once you actually grasp it, and once you actually grasp how powerful your subconscious minded and the unconscious thoughts, you realize that consciously, when we're making decisions, those conscious level decisions are still coming from unconscious beliefs and subconscious programs. Whatever we've experienced that created an unconscious belief, our unconscious beliefs are the driving force of our thoughts, our behaviors, our feelings. But when we're making a decision, we can think that decision is based on a conscious thought, like, right? Like, can I share a story with you?
Sure,
Okay, so I'll share.
please.
This is probably like the easiest way to understand this, right? So I have 5 children, right? Now, my 3 girls are with my ex-partner who sadly died from suicide. And when he passed over, there was lots of different things attached to that. So he passed over, then me and my husband, well, the partner, we got pregnant. Anyway, when we had the baby, my fourth child, Alex, my husband, he was setting up this bar, this art gallery, trying to like support me and the kids. However, if you can imagine, I've just had this newborn baby and I was at a level of success that I'd never been at before. And Alex ran out of all his money, invested it into this blooming bar. So I started to invest my money. In that moment, I'm looking after 3 grieving little girls. I'm looking after this newborn baby, and it was very, very stressful, right? So I'm going to bench that for now. When I was trying to do my first £100,000 month, I could not comprehend why I couldn't do it because I saw other coaches doing it. I was at the same level as them. And I was like, well, if they're doing it, why can't I do this £100,000 month? Let's go back to that experience. I did a belief coding session. And if somebody would have told me that this was the belief that was preventing me from doing the £100,000, I would have thought they were a crazy person. But this belief created my thoughts, created my actions. So the belief I had was, if I'm too successful, Alex will leave me and I'll be left at home with the babies. That unconscious belief then drove my decisions to not invest in Facebook ads, to not get a team, because it was trying to keep me safe from literally being successful so that Alex wouldn't leave me. If somebody would have told me that was the belief, I would have thought they were a crazy person because me and Alex are like this. As soon as I changed that belief, 2 weeks after, I did my first 6-figure month and I've gone on to do £500,000 months.
It's
like,
awesome.
It is awesome. But the point I'm trying to make is I was totally unaware of that unconscious belief that was created from a past experience. Yet that unconscious belief was literally dictating my life. Like unbeknownst to myself, because consciously I'm like, well, I can't afford to invest in Facebook ads, even though I had money in the bank. I can't really get a team because what if I can't fulfill it, even though I had enough money to invest in a team?
Yeah.
But it felt so real.
Wow.
Are you thinking, what conscious beliefs have I got?
Yeah, I am. I'm totally blown away by your story. typically when we start these podcasts, I like to ask about you as an individual and kind of what your journey was that got you into entrepreneurship. And it sounds like you were already on this path when you had these experiences. Would you mind telling us a little bit about what influenced you or drove you to become a coach?
Yeah, of course. So it's quite a dark story, really. Like when I look back to it. So essentially, I was on. Do you know the American TV show The Apprentice?
Yes.
So I was on the UK version of The Apprentice like a few years ago. However, right, if you can imagine, what I had to do, I had to create a business plan, right? So I had a fashion brand. Anyway, as I'm creating this business plan, I had 3 little girls. I had 2 businesses. I'm traveling like a 4-hour round trip back and forth to work, looking after the kids, doing this bloody business plan. And memories of childhood sexual abuse started to surface, right? And I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? Totally just, I could not comprehend I just couldn't comprehend how I could suppress something so big and how I just couldn't remember it. Anyway, this was 2 weeks before I went into The Apprentice. So I suppressed those memories, went on to The Apprentice, and my mantra was, if it started to come up, put it in a box to deal with later, put it in a box to deal with. And honestly, I'd sing that song. And if anybody's listening to this and you've ever been through anything like that or any sort of past trauma, the worst thing you can do is put it in a box to deal with later, because it comes out as anxiety, it comes out as self-doubt, it comes out as physical pain.
Yeah.
It shows up in different ways that is easier for us to process the emotions that we're suppressing. So that happened. And then a few months after I came out of The Apprentice, I met my husband-to-be, and then my ex-partner died from suicide, right? And then a month after he died from suicide, me and my partner, we had a miscarriage. Now, that was literally the icing on the cake. So for me, I've always been a believer in the universe, and I truly believe in God. But I could not comprehend how all of this stuff could happen to me, because I couldn't comprehend how it happened to me. However, that was the driving force to get into self-development, get into coaching, get into transformation, because I wanted to make sure that my 3 little girls wouldn't hold on to the death of their father and make it mean something that it didn't mean. And through going through just like training and absolutely everything, reading peer-reviewed studies, learning about self-development, learning about the brain, I totally transformed my life and my kids' life. And I was like, oh my God, I need to teach this to people, because I grew up thinking I was a naturally anxious person. I didn't realize that I wasn't naturally anxious. I was just like living in fight or flight. I didn't get it. And when I'm no longer when I no longer feel that anxiety, I was like, right, if I don't feel this, but I believed I was naturally anxious, and that was part of my identity, my character. I need to know other people aren't like this. I need to spread this. And this is how belief coding was born, from going through my own transformation, seeing how it changed my life, then starting to work with a few clients, seeing how it transformed their lives. And then, just having a purpose to create a movement to show people you're not your feelings, you're not your thoughts.
Wow.
Yeah, there's the dog story I told you.
Yeah. Well,
were you expecting that, Parker?
No, honestly, I believe a lot of the strongest individuals, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, have the darkest backgrounds or the hardest backgrounds.
Yeah.
How is a diamond made? It's pressure and time.
Yeah.
So if you're under pressure for a long time, you will come out stronger. That's just it. When you're in the gym and you're working out and you want to build a strong muscles and a stronger body, it's time under tension that makes you strong. So if you're going through struggles right now and you're having the hardship that you maybe can't fathom how you're going to get through it, recognize that if you endure it for time, you will become a stronger individual.
I think as well, just following on from that. So before all that happened, one of the biggest things that started to get me into self-development actually was a few years ago when me and my ex-partner separated, and then became a single mom with 3 children. And back then I thought that was the lowest point. But what I did do, and I think sometimes we don't realize the power of the knowledge that we have in our hands. Like even people listening to this now with you, Parker, they have this knowledge for free that they'll listen to on your podcast. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas there's content out there, like if you are going through hardship, follow people who inspire you, follow people who are where you want to be, follow people who've gone through the stuff, because sometimes when we're in it and we feel like we're the only one. We believe that no one's had it like I've had it, no one's struggled like I have.
Yeah.
But when we seek out the people who've overcome that adversity, then we start to realize if they've done it, I can do it. And it plants those seeds.
Definitely. That's a common theme now in my podcast actually is.
I can't wait to listen. I can't believe I only just met you. I've been binge listening to them on there. The flight home.
The first 10 episodes were really bad.
I'll start from 11.
Thanks.
I'm joking.
The first 10 episodes were me in front of a camera trying to dumb down business concepts to the simplest level and just talking. And so it's very bland. There was no emotion. There was no conversation. It was you should have a business plan. Here's how you make one.
Well, look at this is evolution.
This is evolution.
Yeah.
Yes, the last few episodes I've been conversational. I've been bringing on entrepreneurs, talking about what they do, their stories. And really it's from the lens and the frame of how do we help other entrepreneurs get through those obstacles and those struggles? Because I know when I was starting, there was about 2.5 years that I didn't take a paycheck. I was living on student loans with my pregnant wife.
Well, she's lovely, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you. We, like it was a struggle, but I was so focused on growing the business and figuring out the ads and talking to suppliers and getting the products right. And I just locked myself up into a room and I would work exorbitant hours to try and figure it out. And I was so focused on my work that I never realized there were other entrepreneurs who had similar struggles. There were other entrepreneurs who were going through those hardships, and really the amazing sense of community that actually exists when you get out and you find people like we found the Inner Circle with Russell Brunson. And honestly, the best part about that for me is the community of high performing people that I can go and 1, learn with, and 2, learn from. And I want to make sure that things like that become available to other entrepreneurs, maybe more accessible through podcast or YouTube.
It's so powerful, isn't it? When you just touched on that, you don't realize what is possible for you until somebody can tell you or show you what is possible.
Yeah. Well, for me, especially, I had no knowledge that the wealth that I experience now was even existed when I was a kid. I had no idea that that was possible. And as I progressed,
tree shivers.
I started to get exposed to more and more. And so I learned what is possible and what's out there. But that challenged my core beliefs. It pushed me to try new things to figure out how to get to those levels, like a puzzle I could solve. And every time I unlock a new level, I recognize there's still 5, 6 more above me. And I wonder how many more are up there that I can't even fathom because I haven't got to a point where I can perceive them yet.
I think that's an interesting thing, actually, talking about what you can fathom. So I remember years and years ago, I used to have a marketing company, was by 21 or 22. And this lady told me that she did a £10,000 month. And I couldn't understand how somebody could do £10,000 in a month. I couldn't grasp it. And now, we do that in a day, like we do more than that in a day. But I think the point I'm trying to prove is, or the point I'm trying to make is, sometimes what you can't fathom, it actually doesn't matter because you're on a journey. And the reason I couldn't fathom it, like 17, 18 years ago is because I didn't have the skills, the knowledge, the mentors to be able to fathom it, to be able to show me. Whereas like, as soon as you can fathom something or as soon as you can imagine it, you already have the skill set to be able to do it. Otherwise you wouldn't even be able to imagine it.
Yeah.
Because the way your brain works, your brain only works from information from the past. So it can only project an image for the future, i.e. your future self, because of what you already have from your past. I know, it's mind-blowing, isn't it?
That's the kind of thing that we need to share.
Totally, because people don't understand this, and this blows my mind. So I'm in the work of beliefs, right?
Yeah.
And I say to my clients, like we do like a little sort of visualization, like who can imagine making extra 5,000, extra 10,000, 50, 20, 100, whatever. And as soon as they can't fathom, they put the hands up, and I'm like, right, this is the thing, right? Whatever you can fathom, you've literally got everything you need to make it, because you can create that lifestyle. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be able to see it. And I think a lot of people don't get that because they think sometimes, when we imagine something, it's just an imagination, but your imagination is coming from everything you've accumulated over the years.
So I really like that concept. And I think that's part of the reason why it's so crucial that entrepreneurs, business owners, executives, hell, anybody, you have to keep learning. Because the more you learn, the more you input, the better picture you can actually project for yourself moving forward in the future.
And also, so if you think of it this way, right? The more you learn, this is what creates opportunities. So if you're learning, well, whatever you're learning, right? This is how opportunity is created. Your brain will put together different pieces of information to create an opportunity, to create an idea. So if we look at somebody who absolutely masters their craft and the only thing they consume is everything to do with their craft, they will literally become the master because their brain is connecting all that relevant information. Whereas if we look at a visionary or somebody who wants to break revolutions or create like a mass movement, generally, they have become masters in multiple different areas so that their brain contributes in 2 different masteries, 3 different masteries to create a revolution, an idea, a concept, a vision. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
So you touched on creating the movement there.
Yes.
I tried to do my homework before the episode.
Yeah.
Your Facebook group has like 90,000 people in it.
Yeah.
You've obviously done a very good job of creating a movement behind this.
We do. So this is the thing, right? So for me, I love giving value, and I love that people coming through my free challenge. And like, we've had people who've done the free challenge and their life has been changed because they've gone back to an experience where they created a belief that didn't mean anything. So what I found is, number one, I've got a lot on Facebook ads. However, when people have done the challenge, they then tell people, you need to do this challenge. It helps with this, it helps with that.
Yep.
So the community itself is super, super strong. But also, I love to nurture that community. I love to give them advice and tips because I want them to be future belief coders. Because the more belief coders I've got, the more impact we're going to make, the more lives going to change. And I think when you create a movement, if you give somebody an experience which changes their life, or they not even give actually, if they have an experience through what it is that you'll teach that changes their life, it's almost as if they haven't got a choice. They have to tell people because it's so impactful. It's like a compound effect.
Definitely. So for somebody who's learning about belief coding on this video for the first time, what does joining your challenge or working with you or learning the process of belief coding, what does that look like?
Yeah, so essentially you would come to a 3-day challenge, and within that 3-day challenge, you would understand where your thoughts come from, why you feel a certain way, why you do certain things. We look deeper into the subconscious programming, deeper into your unconscious beliefs. They'll figure out on the challenge what is actually stopping them from having the success, the money, whatever it is that they want. And then we literally change the belief using belief coding online. It is amazing. And it's even worked with things like physical pain, because a lot of physical pain stems from emotional trauma, or like a lot of entrepreneurs. So what I found with this work, a lot of entrepreneurs that suffer with migraines, the migraine gives them an excuse not to work because they're worried of the fear of failure. So rather than do the thing to fail, their body will give them a migraine to avoid them doing the thing to avoid failure.
Wow.
No joke. No joke. This is one example. I could go into loads to do with physical pain. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is. Or even lower back pain tends to stem from, so if you have lower back pain, that's because you don't feel stable, your rooms, you're not grounded, and that tends to do with your finances. That's just, it's mind-blowing.
Okay, so I have low back pain. I know I have some herniated discs, though.
Well, I herniated
but that maybe doesn't mean that I don't also feel that way about my finances.
Oh, let me show you. I'll show you a picture. Let me share this picture, and you can even share this with your people on your podcast, right?
Okay.
So in England, there's a festival called Happy Place, and it's run by like a UK celebrity called Fern Cotton, very, very well known. And we sponsored it 2 years ago, right? Now, my back pain was connected to grief and money, like sexual abuse, lots of different stuff. So when I paid this invoice for Happy Place, it's like £50,000, $42,000, £42,000, which would be like $50,000. My back went, right? So I had 2 herniated discs. Let me show you this picture. It is absolutely wild, right? So when I did the belief coding session, it took me back to healing grief, healing lots of different stuff, but the trigger was paying an invoice, which triggered the pain, but the pain was connected to being ungrounded, to do with lots of different things, right? This picture was taken 24 hours apart, these 2 pictures. Oh my God, let me find them. Can I show you this?
Please do.
And I'll send you this. You can share it with your people on your podcast. Oh my God, where is the bloody picture? Hang on. It will blow your mind because, again, I think the thing is sometimes when we have a physical discomfort, we then, it's a herniated disc. Oh, it's because there was in a car crash. But energetically, that part of your body was weak because of your emotional stance. So things trigger it. So I would imagine whenever you pay like a tax bill or anything like that, your back will probably seize up.
Oh my gosh.
Try to think back to it. I may be wrong.
So I am trying to think back to it. I don't want to say most of my back pain. I have back pain pretty regularly.
Okay.
It is always better in the summer and fall, and it definitely gets worse around tax season.
Can you see how wonky my spine is there?
That's crazy. It looks like you've had years of chiropractic therapy to fix that.
24 hours apart.
No joke.
No joke. 24 hours apart. I'll share this video with you and you're more than welcome to share.
And okay, so 24 hours apart. The change here was belief coding.
So if you can imagine here, right? So again, if we look at our body also moves away from pain.
I've shifted my pillow too much. Sorry, we're sitting up on these rock chairs just to get a higher backdrop so that you guys can see like the ocean behind us and it looks cool. But that means I have a rock up my butt right now.
But with this, right, so again, our body moves away from pain. So the reason why my spine is moving away is because my body's trying to avoid that pain, right?
Okay.
Well, when I did and also as well, the pain shows up. The thing it stops you from doing is the thing you unconsciously want. I've got to tidy the house. So if my back goes, the finances triggered it, but it was the perfect circumstance to give me the excuse not to tidy my house, not to do me in person. But at the same time, my husband's like, I mean, I've got quite a big character, right? Can you ever imagine me being wheeled in a wheelchair to train 150 people? My husband's like, we'll get you a wheelchair, we'll take you in there. I was like, I don't think it's going to stop because I'm quite a large character. And I was like, right. But in my mind, I'm literally imagining myself walking in or being wheeled in. And then I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I did the belief coding session, and then I became super aware of my thoughts because it removed the emotional charge of the finances, of the grief. And then I started to reframe my mind, and I was able to stretch up, and my back and my spine started to go together again.
Wow.
It is mental.
Okay, so I've long kind of had the theory.
Yeah.
Our brains operate like computers. They have code. Those codes send us signals, right? And
100%.
that's it's just a computer, and it functions like a computer. Now, I saw a Instagram reel from you. Again, I was trying to do my homework.
You're doing good. This is great.
And you mentioned that you can reprogram your mind through the belief coding sessions.
Yeah. So essentially, if you look at it this way, right, so we have our beliefs, the beliefs are the code, the subconscious program is the computer. So whatever you code into the computer will run that program. So if you code in, or if you have a belief of, I'm not worthy, then the program that has to run is a program that proves to you that you're unworthy. So
Run I'm not worthy.exe.
But it has to run that program. So what belief coding does, once you become aware of what you've coded in or what has been coded in over the years, you can then start to acknowledge, okay, this is the program because this is what's happening, these are the cycles I'm in. So you can choose a different code, you can choose a different belief, and you code it. And the way this works is, we work with an unconscious belief or a program or a negative thought or a negative feeling or whatever is limiting you in your life. That takes you back to the experience where all those beliefs were created or all those codes were created, which are then running the subconscious programs. We reframe this, and then it automatically, we code in a new belief, and that automatically runs a new program. And this is the cool thing, right?
That's so cool.
It gets cooler. So we've recently just become science-backed. So we're in the International Journal of Science and Research, the American Journal of Psychiatric Rehabilitation, soon to be in the British Medical Journal. But what happens, every time we have a negative experience, that has to store in the long-term memory because it's part of the survival instinct.
Sure.
What belief, and any positive experience, unless it's like marriage or childbirth, something big, will store in the short-term memory because we don't need happy thoughts for survival. Does that make sense? What belief coding does, it uses the negative cycle, the trauma circuit, and it instantly stores a positive new experience in the long-term memory because we're using that trauma cycle, which changes the undercurrent of your beliefs and your thoughts.
That's crazy.
It's huge!
Yeah, because you think about it, you said we don't need happy thoughts to survive.
No.
And that's true. What we need to survive is the notion that we need water and that we need to be protected from predators and we need to run for our lives when something big and scary is coming after us.
100%. And actually, do you know what? This is really interesting, right? So, and loads of entrepreneurs will feel this. You'll have felt it, I felt it. But fear is absolutely the indicator that your growth is literally around the corner. Because when fear shows up, fear is showing up as the last resort because fear is so uncomfortable to feel. The subconscious knows if I present fear, this will definitely stop them doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
So the fear shows up to keep you in the old identity, to keep you in your comfort zone. Whereas if we choose to lean into the fear, if we choose to move through the fear disappears and you elevate. So if you're an entrepreneur watching this and you're feeling scared to make the move, you're feeling scared to invest in your mentor, you're feeling scared, that fear is there to try and keep you where you are, but that ain't comfortable. You move through the fear and you elevate.
Well, I know just my personal story. Prior to this past year, the single largest purchase I ever made that wasn't an investment in a business or a car or a house or something like that was the Inner Circle. And I fence sat on that for years. And I was afraid to make that purchase. And it manifested in like anxiety, and I would think about it, and I knew that that's where I needed to go for the growth, but I was terrified to make a purchase that big. And logically, it didn't make sense for me to have that fear, but it was manifesting in anxieties. I got that same fear again before I invested in the Atlas Research Center. And I'm like, I want to invest in this because I'm going to be in a room with Myron Golden and Bill Allen and, these big, successful people that I can keep learning from and growing with. But again, you get those anxieties that manifest, and they're illogical. But it's that core program that's telling you need to stay where you are because it's comfortable and safe.
Exactly.
It's survival.
100%. And doesn't that have to prove to you, when you move through the fear, because you have moved through the fear, your growth is then...
Yeah.
Because it has to, because again, the thing is, it's like, when you move through the fear, your subconscious is like, oh my God, this is okay. Yeah. Maybe I can survive here. And then it will search for evidence that you can survive there. And then it goes to the next level and the fear comes up again.
Yep. I haven't actually hit a stage yet where the fear has just stopped.
No, it won't.
It's like,
because you keep up leveling.
Yeah, you get comfortable at your level, then I know I need to go do something that makes me scared again.
Yeah.
And then when I do that thing, I'm like, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
And then it's gone.
So this is interesting. Have you set yourself an impossible goal since yesterday?
Okay, conversation. That's really cute. Some kid's taking a picture behind us. I had lunch with Phyllis Song yesterday, and I told her, I said, I have such a hard time with that because I want to make the impossible goal possible. And then I'm like struggling with, Myron Golden said he had to get out of the way, hire a CEO to come in and run his business for him because he couldn't imagine the impossible goal, and so he couldn't lead the organization to get there.
Yeah.
He needed someone that could imagine the impossible goal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but the whole point of the impossible goal is to do things that you wouldn't think were possible.
Yeah.
And grow at an exponential scale.
So what is the possible goal then? What's the possible goal that you can fathom?
Okay, so that's, again, a hard conversation. I 10x'd my business twice, back-to-back years.
Oh my God! Will you be my mentor?
Thank you. But I had a lot of success really early.
Yeah.
I don't want to say early, that's the wrong, like I said, 2.5 years I didn't get a paycheck.
Yeah.
And we lived on student loans.
But in comparison to the success,
and
because
then,
you were grinding, then the success, I would imagine, was almost like a quantum leap.
Yes.
Compound, yeah.
So then I had I can't remember, we were between maybe 25, 50 grand one year. But then the next year was $1.5 million. Wow. And then the next year was 15 million.
Oh my God.
And then now we consistently do 20 to 25 million every year.
Wow.
So I've had these huge jumps.
Yeah.
I live a life that I couldn't have ever imagined beforehand.
Yeah.
It's even now we're growing and we're in uncharted territory because we're continuously growing, but that makes a lot of things seem really possible for me.
So then, with that then, so I would imagine a lot of things seem possible for you to do with finances, to do with wealth, right? Mm-hmm. But what's the bigger purpose?
So for me now, and this is what I reel myself in. My brain's going so fast.
Go out.
No, I mean, you've given so much to think about here in the conversation that my brain is moving. I think my bigger purpose now is I realized I got stuck as an entrepreneur when I started to hire people. And all of a sudden I had to develop systems that I could teach people to run. And that's how you scale, right? It's people and systems.
Yeah.
So my purpose now is helping entrepreneurs and helping team leaders, executives.
How many entrepreneurs? Yeah, this is it though.
Yeah.
Well, let's go deeper into that. So make that your impossible goal. Because the thing is, right, I think we're quite similar in the sense, if I find it easy to make things about money and harder to make things about people, because if I make it about people, it means I can fail on them or I can let them down.
Yeah.
And it's like, so this year I want to do my first 10 million year. We've done 1.5, that's kind of where we've been at. But then now I'm like, no, I'm going for 10 mil. That's my impossible goal for the next 6 months. However, I find that easy to, not fathom, because it's a bloody big stretch. But then when I think about having 5,000 people, 4,000 people, 1,000 people go through it, that the number of people seems unfathomable. But it correlates to the money. Do you get me?
So, and that's probably where I need to be. You're spot on to be more successful. And part of the reason
you're not doing wrong, podcast. Hang on a minute. To be more successful, you need 15, 20.
But the different worlds, right?
Yeah, I get you.
So my background, military, and then I leveraged that to get into e-commerce. And then e-commerce, is where I made a bunch of money, and that allowed me to do everything else. So let me get into real estate, let me get into
So now
car
we're talking
trading.
about coaching, aren't we?
Let me get into coaching.
Yeah.
So coaching is where I feel most fulfilled. As a hobby, I coach high school athletics.
Wow.
I've been a football coach for the last 10 years, and I coach soldiers in the military still. I'm in the reserves, and I get to develop young leaders, and I love seeing them become better versions of themselves working with me. So I know that I feel most fulfilled coaching. So I started taking on entrepreneurs that I can coach in leadership and team development, because the leadership and team development stuff is how I scaled my businesses, and it's how I scaled my leadership in the military. So now I want to help people learn those skills, because at the end of the day, it's people and systems.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm weak at, admittedly, is building the community. And, for example, the 1,000 fans concept, the 1,000 true fans. I'm chasing that. I don't know how to build it because I sold products for so long.
Okay then, so that's your impossible goal. So why don't you try and build 2,000? Because the thing is, again, if you look at it from the belief perspective, so you can fathom doing like multi-millions because you're doing it right. So that's like an easy win. But again, to fathom getting like the 1,000 true fans, what's the impossible? Is it getting 5,000 true fans? Like, because then again, to make it happen.
Yeah. So the thing is, I can imagine a path to make those things happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that really constitutes as my impossible goal, but I also I can't fathom what that looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe it does count as an impossible goal.
No, I get you. Yeah. So I can fathom doing 10 million. But the 6 months timeline, that's what feels impossible.
Yes, the time is the tool.
Do you get me? So the time is the thing that feels impossible. I'm like, but I'm going for it. Also, so I think one thing that I found interesting, and again, it kind of rings true, it's just to cut out the crap.
Yeah.
So that literally, and that's the big thing, like it's not setting it to reach it.
Well, and that's such a hard thing for a lot of people. That's a hard thing for me. I do a lot that I know maybe isn't necessarily the best thing for me or my business, but it's because I feel like a lot of people depend on me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to let them down.
I can believe killed that. I totally can.
I maybe need that. So, for example, I'm in a lot of businesses, and I just told you I have a business that trades cars.
And Parker is now going to be in my business.
I have a business that does real estate and real estate management. We have e-commerce, multiple e-commerce businesses.
Yeah.
We have coaching. I'm running for city council. I'm working on a doctorate. I coach high school football. So I'm a lot of things to a lot of people. But I know that doing some of those things, like coaching high school football and running for city council, and the lesser businesses like the trading cars and watches and real estate is passive, really. But I'm like, the time I invest in those things takes me away from coaching and the impacts that I could be making.
So I would say, just going on to it.
Go for it.
Okay, so from a subconscious perspective, that's what you want to do, right? That's absolutely what you want to do. And you know you've got the time, you've got the resources, if you put other things aside to do it. So why aren't you doing it? It's because you're unconscious, that there's something in your subconscious mind, your unconscious thoughts, that are making you procrastinate with doing the watch trade-offs, the car trade-offs. Because your actual passion is coaching people, which you are doing, but not at the scale you want to do, even though you've got the finances, you've got the resources to be able to do it.
That's
Do you get me?
for me. Yeah, so here's how I procrastinate it. I pay other people to do the work for me.
Yeah.
Like to build the funnel.
Yeah.
Or to help me do my VSL and write the script. And I will outsource that work to free up my time, but then I have to wait for that work to be done.
And also, I would imagine, so you pay people to free up the time, but then when you've got the free time, you're still not spending it doing the thing you want to do. Why? It's because something in your subconscious doesn't believe it benefits you to do, or doesn't believe it's safe. Because again, for you to become that coach within the industry you want to become, that is the new identity. Does that make sense?
It does. And getting uncomfortable doing something like that, like we talked about earlier, it's contrary to your survival instinct.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of the things that I do because I think they're fun. I'm an experience junkie. I like to do new things. I like to have new experiences because I have enjoyment in that. So I coach high school football because I enjoy that experience. I enjoy the strategy of it. I run for city council because I enjoy meeting the people in my community and serving them, and like cutting those things out would be not fun.
Okay.
So I don't want to cut them out.
So what's the belief behind that though?
I don't know.
So the thing is, right, so ultimately you like having fun, right? You like serving. So is there a belief there? And again, I don't know, I'm totally projecting. But whatever you do, you can choose to do it with fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you get me?
And that's mandatory. So I wrote a book.
Yeah.
My book's called How the Hell Are You Doing This?
Oh, I love that!
Chapter 5 is
Yeah.
called If It's Not Fun, I'm Going Home.
Oh my God, I love that!
That's a mantra I live by. I've been saying it for a decade in the military. If it's not fun, I'm going home. And that's my cue to retire or get out of that organization. And it's the same thing with e-commerce, the same thing with coaching. If I stop having enjoyment in the process, in the puzzle, then I'm done.
Or then, if we flip it, maybe everything you're doing now is part of the path to allow you to become that person.
Yeah.
You know, so if you look at this, sometimes it can be a subconscious program where we don't do the things, but other times it can literally just be part of the path and part of the process.
I love it. Well, and I try to think of everything like that.
Yeah.
Right? Everything that I do, even these experiences that maybe aren't helping me as a coach for entrepreneurship, they help me become the better version of myself.
Yeah, I get that.
And I'm really passionate about the journey of self-actualization, and every single day I want to be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And that looks different to different people in different ways. Some days I learn something new, other days I get better in the gym, other days I serve more and I become more renowned for that. You know, it's different in different days, but it's always something measurable.
Yeah.
Okay, we've definitely gone down a crazy path here. I'm like, man.
I've really enjoyed this, though. This has
I
been
asked
great.
Jessica to come do the podcast. We can learn about her and what she does because it's really cool. And then I'm like, you're coaching me now.
No, I'm not. No.
I'm like, am I getting belief coded right now and I don't even know it? Awesome stuff. So, okay, Jessica, we've talked about you, we've talked about me, we talked about belief coding a little bit, and what your business kind of looks like if somebody joins you.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, do you mind talking about the strategy? You mentioned challenges. Do you mind talking about that or explaining what that is to people that don't know?
Of course, yeah. So for me, I think, so I always like to play to my strengths. And I think one of my strengths is my character, my energy, and also I'm very passionate about what it is that I'm selling. So I think because I'm passionate about what it is I'm selling, I want to get that passion in front of as many people as possible. But because it's, I mean, like to start off, it's like $2,500, and then we go up to like sort of 15,000. But I want to get as many people in as the $2,500. But the way to do that, you know, people will quite happily invest time before they invest money.
Yes.
So if I can get them investing time with me over 3 days, where they're experiencing something, where they're having, you know, their self-actualizations, where they're understanding why they do certain things, and they're having that transformation, they're more than likely to invest their money with me, which they do. So essentially, that's what we do. So we run ads, and actually what's interesting, we used to run ads for about 2 weeks to a free 3-day challenge, but now we've shortened that. We run ads for about 5 to 6 days. We've had a 10% increase in turn up just from making the lead shorter. We then do a 3-day challenge, and then we open the doors for people to join the program. And then we close the door 4 days after, and that's running like twice a month on Evergreen at the moment. And then we're starting to introduce new challenges, new launches, just to test how else we can get people into our world.
So if you're listening and you didn't pick up on this, Jessica
I've not explained that very well, have I?
Challenges, and the beauty of the challenge, she touched on it, is that people will invest their time before they invest their money. So you get them in the door with a challenge. They spend time with you, you can give them value, you can show them the worth of working with you or coaching with you or learning from you, and that's what convinces them to purchase. It's essentially a multi-day, multi-call sales production, but you're not focused on the sale, you're focused on showing the maximum value.
Yeah,
what's possible.
I'd say what we used to do is also, like now when I do my challenges, when we open the doors, it's direct to sale. Whereas when I first started, and I don't know what level of entrepreneurs are listening to this, but I know when I first started, the thought of jumping on a sales call or the thought of selling to multiple people on a live would terrify me.
Yeah.
So what I used to do, which used to work really, really well, especially if people are kind of starting out or they're new to coaching or new to entrepreneurship and they want to do challenges, because people will always invest in themselves, like time-wise and then the money, instead of going direct to sale, we'd go direct to application. And the application would only be for like a £500 product.
Yeah.
But we used to literally, every single person that applied, 90% of those people would then convert into a sale. And the reason is, when somebody's gone through a challenge, they've spent time with you, but they feel scared to invest, 500,000, 2,000, they'll answer some questions, but the questions are positioned, so it's selling your program or your service to them, and then they're more likely to buy. So that's what I used to do as well.
That's a great way to recapture leads, right?
Yeah.
Some people, the thing about making sales is that the customer has to be in a position in their life, in their time and space, that they're able to make the purchase. So the timing has to be right. And if the timing's not right for a $2,500 product, I'm a big fan of the resell or the upsell, downsell, right? So you repitch them the course, you repitch them the $497 or the $999, give them the option. And, at least in my experience, when you downsell those people, most of the time they walk away from that big purchase isn't because they don't see the value in working with you. It's because they don't have the means to do it right then.
Yeah, the physical
So you
cash.
sell them something that they can get in on, that you can provide value with, that can help them make the money to get to your next level.
100%.
That's how I kind of view that.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Okay, so you're crushing it. You're creating this awesome community. You've got 89,000, 90,000 people in your group. So obviously you've got a strategy for cultivating community. Do you mind talking about that? Because that's something I suck at.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I mean, you've got a good little following. So again, I think the thing is with us, so when we look at a community, we just give a load of value. So again, we give out, and when I say value, we share stories that are inspiring, we share techniques and tools, we ask people questions. Essentially, if someone's in your world, they want to know that they're seen and they're heard. So the more opportunities you can create to allow that individual to know that, hey, look, I see you, I hear you, or to ask their advice, the more they're going to give it.
Yeah.
So our strategy is literally, within we have our page group, we share wins from our page group into our free group, so they're seeing what's possible when they take that level of investment. But also within the free group that's got the 90-odd thousand, we're constantly sharing things which are useful for them, things that are going to make them feel good. Because if you look at the science of falling in love, people fall in love not with the individual, but with how the individual makes them feel. So if we can make our clients or our potential clients within that free community feel valued and feel loved, because we want them to feel that, they're going to fall in love with Belief Code, and they're going to follow that movement because of the way we're making them feel. That makes sense?
That does. That's really good.
It's good.
I love that. That's a masterclass in community building.
But it's that, and the thing is that, but you've got to do it with, so we actually do give a damn, we actually want, and because also as well, like the thing that we're selling, we actually know it will change their life. So for me, I'll do everything in my power to sell that to them, because I know it will change their life. So I want them to know that I see you, I know your problems, I've had those problems. Look at who else has had your problems, the people who joined the course. Tell me, what are you struggling with? This is how we can help. But it's essentially creating an environment to help them fall in love with us, to know that we are the person they've been searching for.
So, awesome. Can I ask, how do you do that at scale? Now, I don't suspect that most of our listeners, and definitely not myself, have a group as large as yours. So my question, I guess, very specifically, when I build relationships with people, like you said, I try to provide a lot of value to them and let them know that I'm invested in the relationship, that I'm passionate about what I do, and that I want to genuinely help them succeed. How do you maintain that when you have so many people in your group?
So essentially, right, so I could ask 100 people the same question, but all of those 100 people would have a different answer. So again, when you're thinking about nurturing your audience, what question can you have which is going to make them reflect on themselves, which is going to give them the answer that they need, which can be different to everybody else. So things like polls, things like, asking for advice, things like, what are you struggling with? You're asking a group of people one question, but multiple people are getting back. And then literally, even if you had 1,000 comments, it would take you an hour, 2 hours to get back to 1,000 comments, or get one of your team to respond to the comments. Because these small things, and again, this is one thing we've been learning about, about the experience, they do totally contribute. And whenever I do my free challenges, the first day of growth work is for them to literally post a video saying, why have you joined this? What are you struggling with? And they post the video. And I go through every single video. Sometimes I'm like this. till 2, 3 in the morning because I love it. But I will make sure that I comment on every video. And if it takes me 2, 3 hours, it takes me 2, 3 hours because in the long run, if those people invest, it will change their life. But also I want them to know, I get it. You know, the team will also get on, the team jump on. So I think from a scalability perspective, you know, ask the questions, which is going to allow them to go deeper within themselves and share that within the community. And also create a really safe environment for those shares. So if there's any judgment, if there's any, you know, negativity or any bullying, we just get those people out.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of the time, sometimes you know, especially as a coach or a leader, sometimes you feel like you can't, you know, shut those people out because it's not the proper thing to do. Whereas actually, if someone's coming into the community and they're not within that community and they're not being it, then they won't be in it.
Well, it actually, I think, is the right thing to do as a leader, right? You think about, as a leader, you're responsible for the outcomes of that group and that organization. And if you have someone who's not contributing positively to the culture of the organization, then they're contributing in a toxic manner. Instead, they only bring it down. They will not aid the organization in advancement. They won't help the people succeed. You have to get rid of them.
Oh, that's made me feel really good. Thanks.
Now,
so you're halfway there, Parker.
I believe a lot in developing people, where we can develop people. And if it's something that can be coached, we should try to coach it, right? Where would we be in the world without second chances, without some forgiveness, and, you know?
Yeah.
So I like to address the problems first.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've got somebody who's consistently negative, who brings down the group, the mood, the value, the culture, you have to end the relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Mind-blowing
really
stuff here. I'm loving this. Last part. You know, we talked earlier about entrepreneurs going through struggles. They go through the tunnel vision of working so hard and not realizing that other people have been through the same obstacles or are going through the same obstacles and can help. We've shared an awesome picture of you. Are there any obstacles that you're going through right now that maybe an entrepreneur could relate to?
Totally. So when I came back from our inner circle in Boise, I made the decision to just set this huge goal, like the 10 million a year, and then everything has literally felt like it's crumbling. So team members have had to go, decisions have had to be made, and it feels like there's a lot of uncertainty within my business. It feels scary. This is the first time probably in 3.5 years that I've actually I felt scared, and I'm doing belief coding, then I feel confident, and then another fear comes, and I'm like, ah! But this is the thing, right? I know that this is all happening, the feelings, the thoughts, the emotions, because I'm right here on my journey, I'm about to break through. So I think if you feel like everything has been going right, and then all of a sudden it's coming crashing down, it is literally because you're on the cusp of your next level, you're on the cusp of the next level version of greatness. So for me, that's the biggest thing that I'm struggling with, really just trusting myself that this is part of the process. Because you've got to go into it with faith.
So can I...
I've got to tide the house. So if my back goes, the finances triggered it, but it was the perfect circumstance to give me the excuse not to tidy my house, not to do me in person. But at the same time, my husband's like, I mean, I've got quite a big character, right? Can you ever imagine me being wheeled in a wheelchair to train 150 people? My husband's like, we'll get you a wheelchair, we'll take you in there. I was like, I don't think it's going to stop because I'm quite a large character. And I was like, right. But in my mind, I'm literally imagining myself walking in or being wheeled in. And then I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I did the belief coding session, and then I became super aware of my thoughts because it removed the emotional charge of the finances, of the grief. And then I started to reframe my mind, and I was able to stretch up, and my back and my spine started to go together again.
Wow.
It is mental.
Okay, so I've long kind of had the theory.
Yeah.
Our brains operate like computers. They have code. Those codes send us signals, right? And
100%.
that's it's just a computer, and it functions like a computer. Now, I saw a Instagram reel from you. Again, I was trying to do my homework.
You're doing good. This is great.
And you mentioned that you can reprogram your mind through the belief coding sessions.
Yeah. So essentially, if you look at it this bit, right, so we have our beliefs, the beliefs are the code, the subconscious program is the computer. So whatever you code into the computer will run that program. So if you code in, or if you have a belief of, you know, I'm not worthy, then the program that has to run is a program that proves to you that you're unworthy. So
run I'm not worthy.exe.
But it has to run that program. So what belief coding does, once you become aware of what you've coded in or what has been coded in over the years, you can then start to acknowledge, okay, this is the program because this is what's happening, these are the cycles I'm in. So you can choose a different code, you can choose a different belief, and you code it. And the way this works is, we work with an unconscious belief or a program or a negative thought or a negative feeling or whatever is limiting you in your life. That takes you back to the experience where all those beliefs were created or all those codes were created, which are then running the subconscious programs. We reframe this and then it automatically, we code in a new belief and that automatically runs a new program. And this is the cool thing, right?
That's so cool.
It gets cooler. So we've recently just become science-backed. So we're in the International Journal of Science and Research, the American Journal of Psychiatric Rehabilitation, soon to be in the British Medical Journal. But what happens, every time we have a negative experience, that has to store in the long-term memory because it's part of the survival instinct.
Sure.
What belief, and any positive experience, unless it's like marriage or childbirth, something big, will store in the short-term memory because we don't need happy thoughts for survival. Does that make sense? What belief coding does, it uses the negative cycle, the trauma circuit, and it instantly stores a positive new experience in the long-term memory because we're using that trauma cycle, which changes the undercurrent of your beliefs and your thoughts.
That's crazy.
It's huge!
Yeah, because you think about it, you said we don't need happy thoughts to survive.
No.
And that's true. What we need to survive is the notion that we need water and that we need to be protected from predators and we need to run for our lives when something big and scary is coming after us.
100%. And actually, do you know what? This is really interesting, right? So, and loads of entrepreneurs will feel this. You'll have felt it, I felt it. But fear is absolutely the indicator that your growth is literally around the corner. Because when fear shows up, fear is showing up as the last resort because fear is so uncomfortable to feel. The subconscious knows if I present fear, this will definitely stop them doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
So the fear shows up to keep you in the old identity, to keep you in your comfort zone. Whereas if we choose to lean into the fear, if we choose to move through the fear disappears and you elevate. So if you're an entrepreneur watching this and you're feeling scared to make the move, you're feeling scared to invest in your enter, you're feeling scared, that fear is there to try and keep you where you are, but that ain't comfortable. You move through the fear and you elevate.
Well, I know just my personal story. Prior to this past year, the single largest purchase I ever made that wasn't an investment in a business or a car or a house or something like that was the Inner Circle. And I fence sat on that for years. And I was afraid to make that purchase. And it manifested in like anxiety, and I would think about it, and I knew that that's where I needed to go for the growth, but I was terrified to make a purchase that big. And logically, it didn't make sense for me to have that fear, but it was manifesting in anxieties. I got that same fear again before I invested in the Atlas Research Center. And I'm like, I want to invest in this because I'm going to be in a room with Myron Golden and Bill Allen and, these big, successful people that I can keep learning from and growing with. But again, you get those anxieties that manifest and they're illogical. But it's that core program that's telling you need to stay where you are because it's comfortable and safe.
Exactly.
It's survival.
100%. And doesn't that have to prove to you, when you move through the fear, because you have moved through the fear, your growth is then...
Yeah.
Because it has to, because again, the thing is, it's like, when you move through the fear, your subconscious is like, oh my God, oh, this is okay.
Ask.
Yeah.
What's the vision? You said you're at this point where decisions are having to be made and you've had to let some people go.
Yeah.
Where's the organization going?
Go in.
And does the people in your organization know that's where it's going?
Yes and no, right? So with our organization, we have a team of about between 8 to 10, because we have a couple of freelancers. Where we're going, essentially, we have two parts of the business. So we have belief coding and then we have BCCR. So belief coding is very much for, your coaches, your entrepreneurs, the people who've never done this kind of work, and they have the tools to be able to change lives. We want to grow to a multi, like 10 million, 20 million pound a year revenue, like getting 10,000, whatever amount of facilitators.
Impossible goal, 50 million.
Yeah, 50 million. Oh, I love it. Oh, those guys. Okay, 50 million. But we want to impact like 100,000 lives every single year, right? So that's a huge goal for belief coding. But then we have BCCR, which is where we're doing all the scientific trials, where we're working with physical pain, where we're working with anxiety. Within the next 12 to 24 months, that will be in the medical systems. So for me, like that's where that goes, that facet. Because even with what we're doing now, like we can prove that BCCR or belief coding, cognitive rewiring, goes deeper than hypnosis, is far more effective than traditional talk therapy, far more effective than EMDR, CBT. That method, belief coding, will help people who have felt stuck for life, people going through depression, and they don't have the faculties to be able to get a therapist or whatever. That's where we're going with the company. We want it to be a household name. We want it to be something that everybody knows of. We want it to be the solution that people have been searching for that they didn't think existed.
Okay. You mentioned some turmoil in your business around that.
Yeah.
We don't have to dive into it too much.
No, okay.
But I would recommend that one, you make sure that you share this vision, right? Because the entrepreneurs, we talked about it a little bit last night.
Yeah, I was going to suck up
the
the team.
vision in our minds.
Yeah.
And so it's very obvious for us where we're going and why we're going there.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always get conveyed to the lowest levels of our organization, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you give one version of that to your management or your team leaders, however you have it structured, and you tell them, hey, we're trying to accomplish this.
Yeah.
And the way that trickles down is they just tell the employees they need to do X, Y, Z, but they don't get the vision. So they don't understand where they're going.
Yeah.
They don't understand why they have to get there or why it's important to get there. And then subsequently, they're not motivated or inspired by the vision the same way that you are, or that maybe your team leaders are. So I would just, one, recommend that we have clear, concise communication that expresses why we do what we do and where we're trying to go and why that's important. And if you can convey that, then you can start holding people accountable to that.
You give me
that becomes a new standard.
You actually did give. So Parker gave me some amazing tips yesterday, and it's literally giving the power to the people, but then also holding them accountable to it. But I'm going to go back. Actually, as I'm going to go back and implement that, but I'm definitely going to go back and call you when I get back to England. I'm like, yo, Parker, how are you set for your time hours?
So what Jess is talking about, I shared two concepts that military leadership uses. The first is a mission brief. So before you give someone a task, before you give them instruction, you explain what they're supposed to be doing, what that looks like, what winning looks like, right? How is it accomplished successfully? Give them that expectation and then let them go and do it. General George Patton said in World War II, I tell people what to do. I never tell them how to do it. I let them surprise me with their ingenuity.
I love that.
So we're going to let the employees surprise us with their ingenuity, but then we also hold them accountable in what's called an after-action review. So after they are supposed to complete a task or have done the task or the timeline's up, you sit down with them and you say what actually happened, what was supposed to happen, what went wrong, how do we do it better? And even if you execute flawlessly, you still sit down and have that conversation and figure out how to do it better.
Better next time.
You're always then in a process of continuous improvement. And so the organization continues to get better constantly. And you'll be surprised how effective that is at developing your people.
Yeah.
And then when your people get developed, your systems get developed.
Yeah.
Because they find ways to do it more efficiently because it benefits them.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm not sucking the team.
I hope that was helpful.
That's totally helpful. Oh, thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Oh, I can finally get off my rock chair. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you, Parker. Thank you for listening.
Go team.
Oh, I love that. How are you feeling?
My family hiding over there watching it.
Hi, Harry. Oh, my God. Are they all? Oh, let's go say hello. Oh, God, I've got dinner at 6:15. Oh, Jesus. Can I grab you tomorrow,
we
though?
go way long? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no, don't worry.
Take the microphone.
Of course, no, Sam, take it. No. Oh, 1 second. I'm going to,
That's actually probably why they all came up here, was to let me know I'm late for dinner.
Thank you,
Please
Parker.
do. It was great having you.
Yeah, we're going to the steakhouse 6:15. It's 6:15.